Okay, week two, division opponent on the road. Obviously a very well-coached team. Have a lot of respect for Coach Vrabel and all that he's doing there and the way this team plays, so it'll be a good challenge for us.
With Dean Pease, where does their defense kind of rank on the exotic scale?
Their defense ranks high on the exotic scale. It's sometimes offensive coordinators will refer to it as a Rolodex kind of defense. I mean, he's calling something different on every play. It's just dial up the next card, the next call, and they do it well. And so that's part of their DNA. That's who he's been.
Did they surprise you how much they frustrated the Cleveland offense in week one?
Yeah, they did. Because I think the Cleveland offense looked pretty good against us, and getting a chance to see those guys up close. So that's the thing with that kind of a defense. When there's some momentum behind it, when you feel like you get behind it, and I don't know what was going through their quarterback's mind or so on and so forth, but you gain momentum sometimes as a defense when you're making calls and switching it up and bringing pressure and getting home, and I think that's what happened on Sunday.
What impressed you about them offensively? They put up 43 points against what seemed to be a pretty good.
Yeah, they're very well balanced attack. They have big playmakers as well, but very well balanced attack. Marcus is Mariota, very good quarterback. Can hurt you in a lot of ways, and they got good players, and obviously Henry and a great runner. I think in some ways, our offenses are similar as far as what we want to do. I think they want to run it, play action, create some big shots there. We're somewhat similar.
Frank, what went into Taekwon Lewis being inactive in week one?
Yeah, just more so not enough practice time before week one. I mean, it's usually a week-to-week decision, but Taekwon probably hadn't quite practiced enough in our eyes to be ready to, physically ready to go. So we'll reevaluate that this week.
Was he? I don't remember him being on injury report. Is this just from stuff that was lingering from earlier in the preseason?
Yeah, exactly.
Frank, has there been a more concerted effort this year, and I know we're just one game in, to running behind Quentin Nelson? Because I know you guys did it obviously last year, it makes sense, but this year, especially on Sunday in the second half,
yeah. Well, no, that's a good observation, and sometimes that is the case. That wasn't the case on Sunday. It just had played out like that with the way the hashes fell and the way the calls came up. So there are times in a game where, I'm about to make a call and I have an option to go right or left, and I'll say to Strauss or Nick, hey, you guys have a preference right or left here. We talk about that stuff during the week, but sometimes in the course of the game. So there's usually maybe 4 or 5 calls like that in a game where I have the option to go one way or the other, and then depending on the flow of the game and the style of play. But actually in that game, it wasn't as intentional.
Is he like an offensive weapon in kind of a weird way?
No doubt. He is a weapon. I mean, you saw what he did to Melvin Ingram on that one play. That's something that teams see on film, and that can slow down a pass rush. When you got to think about making an inside move, and that this guy may be coming back out. So, what I love about Quentin is his mindset is just to be physical, play within the rules, but to be as physical as you can, and that helps set the tone for our offense.
Frank, is Jabal any closer to getting back?
He's making good progress. I mean, making very good progress. Obviously, I'm not going to say any status, but we are encouraged.
Practice today?
No, he's not practicing today.
What did you see from Marlon Mack in terms of his ability to get the yards after contact? And I think his rookie year, we kind of put him in this box as a fast guy. And just how has he developed in terms of being a physical runner, but still having that explosiveness and burst as well?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that came with, just him being healthy for the whole off season and just getting his body in the best shape it's probably been in. Strength and speed, right? That combination, strength and speed equals power. And Marlon's not a small guy either. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, but he's not a small guy. So with his quickness and his acceleration and his strength, certainly showing he can make yards after contact.
With all your analytics you do with the running game and all that, why is he more effective second half? I mean, it's really not even close.
Yeah, I think most backs, if you get into a rhythm, and you wear a defense down, I think some of the analytics is more so the defense wearing down. If you're getting it back enough touches, that means you're making first downs running the football, and you're wearing them down. So I think it's a combination, and I think the backs get a feel of the rhythm, of the way the game is going, of the patience that it takes to find and see the hole, and I think that did show up with Marlon on Sunday.
Considering you played the position, Frank, at quarterback, is it hard to stay patient and kind of let the running game get established, and especially when you're behind 15 points and not say, let's just drop back and put one on the field?
I think as a play caller, it was harder for me at the beginning. I think I made that mistake enough times to learn from. I'm not saying I'll never make that mistake again, but I learned some hard lessons, in that as a play caller early on, not trusting the run game and not staying with the run game. So I think that is something you learn with experience.
You mentioned after the
Or do you mean that before as a play caller? Do you mean like early last season?
No, and early as a play caller, yeah, not early last season.
I was going to say, I think you mentioned that after the Kansas City game, where you kind of got out of what you wanted to do. Is that something, that kind of what you're alluding to, changing what you want to get established as far as not sticking with the run?
Yeah, and for me as a play caller, it goes back to when I first became a coordinator when I was with the San Diego Chargers, so and calling plays there. So I feel like I made that mistake there a few times and just continued to learn from it.
Also, it's just one game, but I mean, is this where you want this offense to be roughly percentage? You're not going to be 50-50 run pass, but you don't want to be 60-40 pass like this team's been.
Yeah, no, I think when it's all said and done, I think we'll be a little higher percentage pass than we were this week. I mean, I'd like to think we're going to run for 200 yards every week, but that probably is not going to happen. It'd be great if it did, but that's hard to do. So, we'll get in some games where we have to throw it a lot, and we got the guys to do that, and I feel confident in that. So, but it is good to start the year out like this and establishing a good run game in the first game.
Right, when given the situation, when did you start thinking about that 2-point play call, and then how easy was it or hard was it to make that call?
Yeah, the 2-point play call was pretty much predetermined the night before, and the morning of. Nick and I always sit down and go through all those situations, and we talk about 2-point plays, and we'll talk about it on Saturday, and then on Sunday morning before the game, he and I will sit down and we'll say, okay, it's a 2-point play for the game. Is this our call? Is this really what we want to do with the game on the line? I mean, when it's really on the line, is this what we want to do? Okay, what if we have to go for 2 early in the game? Do we want to hold this one for when the game is on the line and go to our second one? We typically have 3 2-point plays on our call sheet, and then in addition to our tight red, which we can pull those over, that we discuss all that on Sunday morning in depth.
So the fact that you had the running game going, was that just going to be the play? I mean, just because of the way you guys are running in the second half.
Yeah, but that was actually a pass check run. I had both options in it. We were coming out and we were going to throw the ball if we had the right look, but we were actually anticipating that it might get to a run, and felt good about that run.
Frank, it looks like it's going to be pretty hot on Sunday. Do you take much into consideration there in how you game plan or how you handle practice, things like that?
We're just making a very slight modification to our practice today. It's going to be 10 minutes shorter. And we're going to take the pads off after halfway through the practice. There again, I'm just listening to Rusty and the crew on the analytics, on the study, on what it takes to, we're not losing any. We're still doing all of our reps, all of our team period. We're not missing any quote-unquote practice time there, but shortening a few things up at the beginning, and just to try to stay fresh for Sunday.
Coach, if you're in a film session with your quarterbacks and you see an opposing safety make the type of play Malik made in the end zone, what's that conversation with your quarterbacks look like after you see that?
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, you got to keep an eye on a guy like that. I mean, because those kind of plays, you got to have a knack and a feel to make that kind of play. So, and Malik has that. So, I just think back over the years, you play guys like Earl Thomas and Ed Reed and guys like that. Trust me, a quarterback knows when there's a free safety who can make those kind of plays.
Rivers said specifically that he saw him, but didn't think he could make the play. So, I mean, clearly turning some heads in the league that he can make plays that people maybe don't think he can make.
And again, I think this goes back to Malik had a great offseason, physically is healthy and strong, and has been practicing hard because of that, and I think that's going to continue to show up.
Last year you were 0-1 after an opener you could have won. This year you're sitting different to the guys?
Yeah, you know, all we talk about is 1-0, and so after that game's over, we're evaluating and we're just looking at it like, hey, the slate is clean. You know, we just have to attack this week with the same mindset each and every week.
Coach, I just passed Peyton in the parking lot. Was he talking to the guys before practice today, or what was he doing?
No, didn't get a chance to have him come in, but you know, I had a chance to talk to him in the weight room a little bit. So we always love it when Peyton is around. And as you know, he spoke to us at camp, you know, not too long ago, and gave one of the best talks you could have ever given to a team. So good to see him this morning and have him rub shoulders with a few of the guys as well.